Hi, my name is Missi Howell, and I was the 2021 NEFAR President. I'm currently a broker associate working for the Legends of Real Estate out of Jacksonville Beach. So it was happenstance. I ended up working for a lawyer when I was in high school as a legal secretary. And he was a real estate lawyer, and I was very interested in it. I started studying as a paralegal, and through a series of events ended up about 50 miles away in another city. Starting out as a young adult, got a job at a bank in their closing department for mortgage loans, and that started my career in real estate. So while I didn't necessarily seek out real estate, what I found was it was so interesting. I love to learn, and real estate is an industry that is ever changing, and you don't get bored. So I stayed in it rather than pursued it. I don't know that there was ever a defining moment that defined my style. I was a teenager working in a restaurant part-time after school and in the summer. And the owner of the restaurant told me, "You're not a follower, you're a leader. I watch you, and it doesn't matter what other people are doing. If it's not something you want to do, you don't do it. Or if there's something you want to do, you do it." And I guess that was the first time that someone saw that in me. And then as I went on through my banking career and now into my real estate career, I always had those moments of recognizing myself as a leader within the group. And then I had managers that would also recognize and would nurture those traits in me. I think it was the real estate industry that shaped my perspective on being NEFAR President, rather than the other way around. My journey in real estate and my desire to be involved at the local level, and as well as the state and national, but really at the local level and engaging with members, created a journey that year over year, I found myself wanting to learn more, do more, be involved more. Whether it was changes that were happening in the industry, and I wanted to seek out more information either through education or through legislative issues or legislative activities, or attending Leadership Academy and learning more about how NEFAR is operated, and what that leadership journey might look like. It was really the journey that created the desire in me to go on and lead in this organization. Oh my goodness. So my year was the year everyone in the United States decided to move to Florida, and our already constrained housing market inventory was even more constrained. It was a historic time. We had seen surges in demand before, but that was whenever we had what I call funny money in the market, whenever anybody could get a loan. This was real demand. These were people moving here because of what Florida had to offer during the post-COVID times. Between our very inexpensive real estate market by comparison to a lot of the markets they were coming from, we saw people paying cash. 40 to 50% of the transactions were being paid in cash. It put such a demand, and our volumes were just crazy. We were writing double-digit offers on every single transaction. Buyers were really struggling. You'd go to an open house and there would be lines of people waiting to get in. There was such a strain on the inventory then. So as president, I ended up doing 55 media interviews that year, which up until that time, it was common for most presidents to do a half a dozen, maybe a dozen interviews per year. I did 55. So that was one thing that was very, very different. We also had moved into our new building and was coming out of the COVID era of everybody did things remotely to now we're back in person again. That was joyful, actually. But my installation even was historical in that it was recorded. It was all virtual. We did not do an in-person installation. So there were many things about my year that presented changes and opportunities. Be involved in your association. We paid big dues every year. Come and be a part of it. Find out why we do things, how we do them. Take the journey, join a committee, attend council meetings, sign up for Leadership Academy, go through that process. If you want to lead in this organization, you have to know the organization and you have to know the members. That's my very best advice. As you go through that process, you will learn that it's not so much about leading as it is being a servant. There are probably more opportunities now than what there have been in the past. And it's not to say that women have been held back as much as women having time to devote to the volunteer effort that it takes. Many women are mothers, and they're mothers of children that are very, very active. And so many women that I've spoken with that I see leadership qualities in have told me, I would love to, I just don't have the time. And I get that, because I used to be one of those busy mothers whenever my children were at home. And it's not that dads don't help out, but moms do a lot. So I think that's been part of the challenge of how do I balance my time between family, my business, and then my volunteer efforts. I think the future is wide open for those women who walk the journey and who do engage and who do understand what their role is within the organization. My career, wow, that's almost 50 years. So, passing my real estate license test was a big deal, but passing the broker test was an even bigger one, and then the instructor test was even on top of that. Because of the knowledge that you've got to have. The one that I was most proud of as president was the generation of the E.D.G.E Society. I had asked our CEO, Glenn East, if there was some award or some type of recognition that could be developed that would recognize the associates that spent time and energy on increasing their professionalism. And he went back to his staff and that staff came up with the E.D.G.E Society. And that was just, it blew my mind how creative it was and how much effort and time was put into that to come up with the E.D.G.E Society. Now, 4 years later, I see that it is growing It is, our membership has embraced it, and they're thriving with it. And that's probably, at least of my presidency, that's probably the one thing that I'm the proudest of. So women need to learn to use their voice. They need to learn to engage. We do need more women in roles of leadership. We bring a different viewpoint sometimes to the table. And many times I've seen timidness in women who I know are good leaders if they're unsure of their audience. So yeah, I think women just need to really learn how to use their voices more. They need to engage more. They need to, attend meetings. And then from there, set goals. And then go and reach for those goals. But it starts with a voice.